All right, good evening. Thank you everyone for joining us today for our financial health checkup. My name is Kim Heffernan and I am a financial advisor with Northwest Financial Advisors. We are a wholly owned subsidiary of Northwest Federal Credit Union, and we provide financial planning and investment management services. So today we are going to touch on a few pieces of the financial planning process, some conversations we're having with our clients, to really take a look at how you might be able to benefit from meeting with an advisor really at any point over your lifetime, not necessarily just when big decisions are being made or you may be going through some sort of financial transition. So before we get started, please note that the information contained in this presentation is for educational purposes only, not intended to be a substitute for specific individualized advice. We do recommend that you consult with your financial advisor for guidance specific to your unique situation. Please also be advised that this presentation is being recorded for the purpose of sharing content after the webinar. All attendee questions will be removed from the final recording before it is distributed. We also have a few troubleshooting guides in the control panel if you are having any trouble seeing the slides or seeing myself or with the audio. There's a copy of the slideshow there as well if you'd like to download that. We will go through the slides today and then open up to questions at the end. So with that, we will go ahead and get started. So our organization, like I said, Northwest Financial Advisors, we provide comprehensive financial planning. So if you haven't sat with an advisor before or aren't familiar with the financial planning process, really the basis of it is having conversations to determine financial goals. How are we going to reach those goals? And if we don't know, what are they? So we have different things that we want to accomplish over our lifetime, right? Generally, the largest is some sort of retirement period. At some point in the future, we may not want to work anymore or may want to transition to part-time work. So over our careers, we want to have built up enough savings, enough money to supplement that employment income so that we can live off that savings instead of having to rely on that paycheck if that is in our future. We may also want to purchase a home, purchase a second home, set aside college savings, anything else that comes up along the way. So like an annual physical or a medical appointment, we want to check in. We want to see how we are doing in relation to reaching these goals. And through the financial planning process, we're able to establish that plan. We can make a plan for what, say, an ideal retirement might look like and start working towards that goal. Then, as things change, if we get a new job, we take time off from a job, we have a baby, we have that foundation. We can make adjustments to that plan. We have a reference point so that we can stay on track. We can find a different path to help reach those goals rather than having no plan and no perspective of how those changes could affect our overall goals moving forward and what our situation looks like in the long run. So the first piece of this plan and really your checkup is where you are right now. What is your current position? Starting off with income, what do we have coming in from employment or rental income or whatever those sources of income look like? And what types of savings are we making? So what's going into bank accounts and checking and savings, and CDs, money markets, but also investments, so 401ks, IRAs, things like that. And what are the tax implications of those accounts right now, but also in the future when you go to use those funds? Also taking a look at what's going out. What are my liabilities? What do those look like? Do we have a mortgage, rental payments, personal loans, credit card debts, student loans? What does that look like? but also what contributions are we making, since that is money going out as well. What types of accounts do we have, but also what options are available to me through work or separate from work. Really taking a look at those cash flows. From a cash flow standpoint, where is our money going? Are we breaking even each month or each year? Do we have some excess? Do we not have excess? Establishing that position, we can take a look at where you are and transition into what are those goals that you have for the future, and are the accounts and what I'm doing, the contributions that I'm making, do those align with what those goals are? Are we taking advantage of the opportunities that we have from a savings standpoint? So one of the biggest pieces of this plan, and I touched on a bit, is actually determining what those goals are. So depending on your age, depending on your current position, we might not know yet. We might not have even begin to think about what retirement might look like, or a second home or college savings. But that's part of the benefits of speaking with an advisor sooner rather than later. At different stages of our life, we can use estimates of the cost or the timeline of what those goals might look like specific to your personal situation. More importantly, when it might be necessary to actually start saving towards those goals. So here we have the average cost of 4 common goals in the DC metro area. We have a 20% down payment on a car, 20% on a median priced home in the DC metro area, 4 years of tuition at the University of Virginia, and then a retirement goal. So you may notice here that retirement goal doesn't have a dollar amount. It doesn't have that average cost. And that's because it can vary so greatly from person to person. One reason, it's going to depend on how long you live or how long you plan on living. But it's also dependent on how much you'd like to spend. So during retirement, how much income are we looking to have to continue our quality of life? Somebody who is looking to have $200,000 of annual income to draw that from their savings once they stop working is going to have a vastly different retirement goal, lump sum retirement goal, than someone who might want half as much as that. So in future planning, we generally want to estimate that retirement goal to make up around 80% of what our current gross income is. Generally, this is going to allow us to continue our quality of life. We are assuming that there are going to be some reduced expenses during retirement. We may be paying off a mortgage or not traveling to and from work anymore. Post-employment, you're not going to be making any 401k contributions or setting aside any additional savings in that manner. You may be relocating to a lower cost of living area or a different state altogether that doesn't have state taxes. All of these variables are going to play into that estimation, but 80% is usually a good starting point if that's what you're spending right now. So we have this idea of what our goals are or could be, and we can put that dollar amount on them and kind of determine what's next. How do we get there? As the financial need of these goals, the cost estimation gets larger. In most cases, so does the amount of time to save, if we have been checking in and if we have been planning. But the difficulty in this is that it can be way easier to focus on intermediate or short-term goals before those long-term goals. They may be smaller. They're probably more simple to address. We can check it off the list. We did this. We accomplished this goal. But the thing to keep in mind is, what effect does this have on our longer term goals? If we're not addressing our retirement goal along with our lump sum 20% new car payment goal, what is the overall effect on us reaching that in the long run? We want to find a balance of working towards all of our goals at the same time to be successful overall. And the goal of this financial planning process and a financial check-in is to address those more complex needs first. We want to make sure that those are taken care of and then prioritize accordingly after that, depending on your personal situation. For most people and in most situations, this does mean that retirement is number one. We want to make sure that that is not a stressor. If you don't want to work forever or come into a situation where you are not able to work forever, even if some sort of activity is kind of in your plan, we just don't know what the future holds, and we want to make sure that you would still be in an okay or a good position to have some sort of retirement savings if anything were to happen. After retirement, we would possibly look at some sort of college savings goal, depending on how old children or grandchildren are, and your philosophy around paying for higher education, if that is something that you would like to address. If a new house is in the cards, or a second house or a new car, if you're already retired, what does that retirement period look like for you? Is it spending time with family that requires vacation each year, a move to be closer to them, and a new home and a new mortgage? Just fitting that all together based off of where you are to make those decisions with you and allow you to start thinking about those future decisions to have as much flexibility in the future as possible. That's really our main goal, is to provide you options. You have opportunities to be able to provide as many options as possible for your plan in the future. So once we have gotten that idea of what these goals are and how much they may cost and what that looks like, what are we doing? What types of accounts do I have? And does that make sense and align with those goals moving forward? So at a high level, there are three types of accounts that can hold money. They vary in their tax qualifications. So we have taxable, which are banking accounts that earn interest, or non-retirement investment accounts. We have tax deferred, which are your traditional IRAs, traditional 401ks, and tax-free, which are your Roth accounts, your Roth 401ks and your Roth IRAs. So each of these different types of accounts can be used in different ways, in different tax scenarios and in different timelines to reach different goals. They can also each be held in a bank or credit union institution, earning interest, and they can also be investment accounts with market exposure. So based on what that goal may be that you have either earmarked that account for, or kind of have an idea of what you want to use that money for, and what that timeline is, we can assign some sort of investment objective to help to determine how it should be invested, or really if it should be invested at all. One of the biggest ideas surrounding these decisions in the planning process is that we want to ensure that your money is working for you the best that it can be. Taking advantage of market growth and potential market growth, or tax qualification, whether that's a refund or tax-free growth, whatever that may be, all of the opportunities that we have to help us be successful, since there are so many options out there. So for longer term goals, we do want to hold some investments, whether that's aggressive growth, more moderate, or conservative. That's going to depend on your level of comfort with risk and volatility, but it also comes back to that timeline for usage of the funds. When are you looking to use those? Is it for retirement 20 years from now, a home purchase in 6 months, a child that's attending college in 5 years? In our current environment coming off of last year, anything in excess of our emergency fund, so immediate cash needs, really anything earmarked for usage in the next 6 months or so is likely better off left in conservative investments or in cash. That is planning to be used sooner rather than later. But anything longer than that really is available to be exposed to the markets. Like I said, we want to make sure it is working for you. It's exposed to that growth potential, no matter how aggressive, but it's keeping up with inflation and ideally providing you returns in excess of that so that your dollar value today is able to buy you the same amount of goods in 10 or 20 or 50 years from now. So that can be done in a variety of types of investments. Here on this slide, we have 4 broad asset allocations. We have equities, which are stock, so that can be U.S. companies, international stocks, different sectors of the economy like financial companies or technology companies. We have fixed income, which is the bond markets. So we have government bonds, you can have municipal bonds or private company bonds. Alternative investments like real estate, commodities like gold or corn or coal or something like that, and cash. So in the investments that we use with our clients, we largely use mutual funds. This is also probably something that's available to you within your employer plans as well. If you're not familiar, a mutual fund is a portfolio built up of positions in these different asset classes. So instead of choosing a specific stock or a specific bond, there are holdings in all of these asset allocations within the individual mutual funds that are managed by a mutual fund manager. Using these mutual funds is a way to diversify your investment portfolio. So diversification is a risk management technique. It is used to try to provide the best risk-adjusted return. The risk-adjusted return, and what that means is the highest return possible with the lowest amount of risk, or the risk that you're comfortable with taking, so that we have exposure to all different parts of the market rather than just one or two, and have a more balanced portfolio and have access to different types of investments. The asset allocation in your accounts and the investments and the type of accounts really does play a huge role in your financial success. With the different options that you have, we're able to put a strategy together and invest really in ways that can have exponential effects on your long-term plans. So all of this information that we have just gathered and set and worked through, what do we do with all of that? The real meat of the check-in or any financial conversation is no matter what stage of life you're in, we can use these estimates and make assumptions to get an idea of what that future looks like. This is a screen grab from our planning software. It's called Money Guide Pro. We use this as well as some other calculations to take a look at, based off of what you're doing now, what is your probability of success in reaching that goal? So the goals that we just determined, whether that's to have $100,000 of retirement income per year or purchase a home in 15 years, have the down payment for that. It takes a look at your current position. What investments do you have, whether that's cash or stocks or bonds? What contributions are you making and will continue to make until you want to accomplish that goal, whether that's retirement age or 15 years for a down payment, whatever that looks like. And then we run 1,000 different market cycles. So 1,000 different things happening in the markets over the next several years to determine what that probability is that we will have enough money to reach that goal no matter what happens. This particular example is a retirement goal. So based off of the savings that this individual has in their 401ks, IRAs, the estimated income stream that we told the program to use, there is an 87% chance that they will be able to draw that amount of money until age 94 without running out. So they'll have that available to them and more. 870 different market scenarios, they're successful, and only 13 of those did they run out of money at some point over their lifetime. So with this software, anywhere between 70 and 90% is our confidence zone. That's where we want to be. If it was anything greater than 90%, that's really just telling us that we have some more flexibility. We can make adjustments if we want to spend a bit more in retirement or right now, if we want to have more retirement income, or if we want to take home more income now and less than those retirement contributions, we probably can do that. But this is where the fun part comes in. We can make these adjustments and see what effect that really has in the long run for your longer term plan. On the other hand, if it doesn't look so great, that's also where we can make some adjustments and why conversations like this are so important. Whether we're looking to use different account types or make investment adjustments, doing that sooner rather than later, that money and those accounts have more time to work for you and grow as long as possible, leading up to retirement or the home purchase or whatever that looks like. So if it doesn't look so great, or maybe exactly how you thought it might, what can we do about that? Starting off, really, what is that timeline? How much time do we have, and what are our options? Do we have any availability in our cash flows to increase our 401k contributions? If I have 15 or 20 or even 10 years until retirement, that I can consistently increase those contributions, that can have a huge effect on that retirement goal and really make a difference. Does it make sense to make Roth contributions? Am I eligible to make Roth contributions, and is that something that I should consider? From a tax standpoint, are there more tax efficient opportunities that we could be taking advantage of? Are you getting a refund consistently each year? Have you been getting some excess cash back? What can we do with that? Or are there any adjustments that we can make to help get a refund or help you be a little bit more tax efficient now and in the future? Focus on the investment allocations. Are they really appropriate? Are they working for us? And really thinking through how much risk we are taking, and does that make sense? With the investment allocations, and kind of the theme here is that timeline for the goals. That really does drive somewhat the appropriate amount of risk. If your retirement date is January 1st, 2022, and you plan to begin drawing money on January 2nd, it is important to keep in perspective that while you are using some of those funds, you're likely not going to draw the full value of your retirement account on January 2nd. You may be taking a payment, it may be a monthly payment, but it's likely not going to be a huge portion of your investment accounts. So the rest of that account does still need to be invested appropriately for that retirement income goal. That retirement income is going to need to be there 15 or 25 or 30 years from now. And it can be more conservative. It's probably going to be more conservative than your investments if you were just starting off in your career. But we could be in retirement for almost as long as we have been working and saving towards that retirement period. So we just want to make sure that we're taking advantage of some of that potential growth and potential in the markets in an appropriate way for you moving forward. So the investments they're an important piece. But what we're really doing and is what's illustrated in this wheel here is providing that comprehensive wealth management. So looking at your situation as a whole, with the focus being your life. We want to determine those goals and what steps we can take to help you best reach those. If you are close to retirement or in retirement, we're able to develop a distribution plan. Where should we draw income from first? What types of accounts are there? Which ones should we tap into? When should we start drawing Social Security? What age makes the most sense from an income standpoint? Making sure that we have an estate plan or beneficiaries in place. That's all part of having that established plan, no matter what stage of life you're in. And that's going to allow you to have that financial success and ultimately the most flexibility that you can in the future. So that is all that we have for today. I will open it up to questions, but I did want to say first, if anyone has to jump off, thank you for joining us. We do offer complimentary consultations for anyone that is interested. You don't have to be a member of the credit union. We will go through some basic calculations and conversations like these. There will be a survey when you exit out of the webinar, and you can provide your information on there if you did want someone to contact you. Even if not, I would be very grateful if you did fill out the survey. We'd really appreciate it. It only helps me and us get better to make adjustments for those future presentations.